Hi there, so we'll take a look at how some of Hwei's abilities work and how they interact with some items and runes. We'll start with WE because this is the most important part. First of all, you can use it with other abilities and it'll proc the extra damage on all the targets of the ability no matter when you use it. So for example, if you cast WE and then you Q here, you see the 30 extra damage from this one. But also if I do this, it's not single target, so you get the 30 extra damage on the secondary target as well. This means you can also QE and then you can use it later and it'll proc the 30 damage immediately when you use it. You need to know, however, that this doesn't count as a spell hit, neither for passive nor for many of the different interactions with items and runes. However, specifically Mana Flow Band does work. So if you have it here, and you you do get the Mana Flow Band proc, but you can actually see I don't get a tier stack, even though I'm hitting a target with my ability. So this says hitting an enemy champion with an ability, and this says pretty much the same thing, but somehow only one of them procs. Here you can see it also doesn't proc Leandri's. It does, however, count as an extra hit for Electrocute if you use it with an auto attack. So if I use WE, I only need to attack twice for Electrocute to proc. This does not go, however, for proccing with spells. So of course you couldn't see it because it's on cooldown there. But if I do a if I do WE and then I proc there and there, Electrocute doesn't proc until my passive comes in. And this is another important thing to know. Passive counts as a spell for pretty much any purpose, including proccing Electrocute and proccing items. This makes it very easy to proc Electrocute with your passive and your E ability, as long as you use them with any other ability pretty much. So if you're EQing and then you QQ, the fear pretty much guarantees a hit of the passive, and the same goes for pulling them together and for rooting them. Next up is Q. It's very straightforward, so there's not much to say, but QE does proc cheapshot immediately, so that's very nice to know. You should also note that if you pull a target with your E, the passive will always be at the end of the E. The slow duration also starts at the end of the pull, so it doesn't matter if they're in the middle or not, as regards to how long the slow is. Next we'll look at the rest of the W abilities. So one thing to know about WQ is it counts as assisting your ally. So if you have an ally here, it procs Aery, for example. This means that you can proc stuff like Staff of Flowing Water, where you need to shield your ally by using this. Because Aery shields for you, and you can see I gain the increased AP from the staff here. If they keep standing in it, it can even proc the Aery twice. So if you stand close here, it comes back and then it goes out again, and it's a new shield. So for instance here, see I WQ, it shields them, and it shields another hit. This also goes for WW, the shield twice part. So if you cast it here, very big shield, then a small shield, and then a very big shield. And early on, this over doubles the shield actually. As you can see, Aery's base value is 51 shield, and the base shield on this is 80. So if you can stand close to 80 carry or something early if you're playing him support, you'll actually be shielding for over twice what you would have been. The ability also gives a big part of the shield immediately when you get in it, even if you weren't in it right when it got cast. And this is also the only shield that counts for a shield bash. So even walking in and out and stuff, it doesn't get new shield or change the damage value of shield bash based on the shield size. We talked about EQ guaranteeing the comet already. So we'll jump to EW, as there's not much else to say. It's a very simple ability. So for EW, you can see it lingers based on travel time. And this duration is very significant, so it goes from around 1 second if it's melee, to around 3 seconds on full range. And it seems to scale linearly, so if you cast it in mid-range, it'll be around 2 seconds. And I'm talking since when it hits it. The reaction time of the E is of course the same as long as it's been placed down, so it's not like it'll shoot faster once it's landed from here than once it's landed from here. It's important to note that EW targets champions only, but it can also hit other things. So even though it aims for the enemy here, the blue buff blocks it, so you can't really cast it in a wave. So when EW is activated, what seems to be the limiting factor for whether it hits or not is the travel distance. So even if an enemy just flashes to the side inside it, they can dodge it even though they're still staying in the circle. So we'll see if I'll be able to replicate it here. So here you see it doesn't hit. However, as long as they stay close to it, so it can travel in a direct line to them pretty much, then it will hit them. So if we cast it again here, just need to place the dummies again. And it moves, oh, it hit already, but if you move closer to the middle, most of the time you'll still be hit. If an enemy goes outside the circle, they'll most likely not be hit, but it can reach a little bit outside the circle, it seems. So on to EE. As I noted earlier, the passive will be wherever you pull them to. So there's no worries with missing that. However, comet is a different thing. So if you have comet and you use it here on the edge, since the damage is dealt immediately, it'll automatically miss because you pull the target away from where the comet procs. So as for the ultimate, we'll take a look at the item Malignance as well. So Malignance does not seem to keep proccing even though the enemy always keeps taking damage. It does say damage an enemy champion with your ultimate, but as you can see here, they do keep taking damage here, but it doesn't actually reset the timer. Let's see if we can find Caitlyn to demonstrate here. Oh. Right, so if I cast it on her here, she'll be running away. And now she isn't burning from the malignance, or rather it doesn't apply again. It should have been a much bigger burn because it should keep her burning for 3 seconds after the ultimate ends, since it does deal damage at the end as well. But you saw she just stopped burning immediately when the ultimate ended. So you see here, she's burning. But now she's not burning even though she should be. The entire spell does count as spell damage though. So if you use, for example, Horizon Focus or Leandries, you see it keeps refreshing here. The Horizon Focus only seems to apply just at the start and at the end of the ultimate. But it doesn't really change how it works since the effect lasts so long. This does, however, mean that if an enemy just barely enters it, they will not get the second part. So you can see them here, but they don't have the eyes yet, and now they get the eyes. So you'll need either the AoE proc or just the explosion hitting the other enemy as well to get the full Horizon Focus effect. Also note that the slow just increases over time, so it may be worth to wait until the end of the ultimate before you cast a spell like QW, because they won't be able to dodge it then unless, unlike if you cast it immediately. Regarding items, you should also note that WE doesn't proc on item damage, so even though the enemy is burning here, I cannot press WE and get extra damage. It doesn't use any of it. That's reserved for if you're using QE and then you decide to WE after that, and it uses one immediately. A small item side note is that Sheen doesn't proc unless you actually cast a spell, so you can press Q and then cancel it and stuff, but it doesn't work unless you press QQ, for instance, and then you get the effect. I think that's it for the most important interactions, so that's it for this video. I hope you learned something, or can use it as a sort of book to refer back to later, if there's an interaction you're wondering about. And then I hope you have a great day and have fun with Hwei.